Hey guys, Pastor Jack, I have a scripture for you that I'd like to share with you that may have a little bit of background needed. It is out of 1 John chapter 2, verse 29, where the Apostle John writes, "If you know that he is righteous, you know that everyone who practices righteousness is born of him." You may or may not know that John was in his 90s when he wrote 1 John. In fact, it had been 60 years since Jesus had ascended into heaven. The church had been born, and it is now not only a second generation, but a third generation upon the earth of believers. And so John is given the task by the Lord. He's the last remaining apostle to write the last 5 books of the New Testament. 3 epistles there towards the end, the book of Revelation, and that big Gospel of John. He would write in his 90s near the end of the first century. And so John had the task of encouraging, if you will, a third generation of saints who didn't know the Lord personally, hadn't seen Jesus walk upon the earth as he had. And so John writes from a privileged kind of position. He was there when the church was born, when Jesus did his miracles and all. And so now John is in his 90s. He's at the end of his life, so to speak. And he writes about our need to grow in our faith in the Lord. And I like this verse that I read to you in particular, because he really says, if we know that the Lord is righteous, if we know that God is holy, then those who follow him are going to turn to that holy life as well. Or if you will, we need to continue to grow. Certainly, if you've been a Christian for a while, hopefully your spiritual life is better than it was last year, and maybe not as good as it will be next year. But John wants to encourage us that growth is something we presume. If you're walking with the Lord, if you know that he's righteous, your life is going to turn to that righteous kind of life as well. He's going to impart into your life by his Spirit the desire as well as the performance of pleasing God. And so John writes, and really First John in many ways is focused on that, our growth in the Lord, being more like Jesus. And can you imagine a third generation, as you get further away from just that personal knowledge of the Lord as far as physical and being with him, to now having to just hear of him and yet experience that same work of God's Spirit in his life. So John would encourage us, and I hope encourages you, that you go stand in the door frame of your house, try to get a little taller in the Lord. Let him mark your progress. As you know him better, you want to be more like him. And as that is the work of God in your heart, certainly you're going to turn out a little better each day, a little closer to what he would want. Continue to grow. If you know he's righteous, you'll walk in righteous life as well. God bless you as you grow today.